Hello, hello. So there's two. I like two definitions about personal branding. The first one, it's the perfume you leave uh, in the places you were. And the second one, it's what people say in the room when you're not there. And if you want to learn about this and how to make possible to do personal branding on LinkedIn, you're in the perfect place. Someone yesterday told me you have the right person to talk. You booked the right person to talk about it. Do you guess who may be, Natalia?
I heard about this LinkedIn marketing unicorn. Do you mean her?
So
Thanks, Marco. I'm really happy to be here, and yeah, let's add tremendous value and make people think and laugh.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it. First of all, thank you so much for being here. I'm truly sure that you are very busy, that you have so many things to do. So it's thank you for sharing your valuable time with me and with my community. I think it's so important by these days to talk about this on mostly on LinkedIn because I think people are. There's a say that we use 10% of our capabilities, which is not true because I'm reading a book about it, Limitless, which is a nice book. But I think on LinkedIn, this is a true. I mean, 10%, most of the people are just taking 10% of LinkedIn capabilities. So I think it's important to talk about this to uh, put people thinking about this on LinkedIn, how to take advantage of this amazing tool, which is, and it's free. It's free.
Yeah.
So thank you, Natalia. I will ask you please for you to introduce yourself, and then let's talk about this, please.
Sure. So first of all, once again, thank you so much for having me over. I am known as being a LinkedIn marketing unicorn. That's what Inc. magazine called me. And since then, people are like, Natalia, Dr. Nat, the LinkedIn unicorn. I'm a personal branding strategist, a keynote speaker, a best-selling author, and an edutainer. So I realized after living and working in many different ways and experimenting my whole life at the age of 29, like, nothing makes sense and I'm not happy. So I went on a journey on a self-imposed sabbatical to question everything that I ever did. And then over the next years, literally failed myself up to my dream lifestyle and career of purpose. And I realized I love to help people shine. I love to help them stand out. I love them to, live the life they deserve and make the money that they can have. And I think that LinkedIn is one of the best platforms to, grow your business to the next level and to help other people. And that's the reason why I decided, let me focus on organic LinkedIn marketing and lead generation and to get my message out there and to help other people to do the same.
Perfect, perfect. You gave me an amazing clue to start the conversation. But first, please, if you are watching and if you have doubts and or if you are watching the replay, please send your questions to us so we can answer. Natalia, you talk about something that for me it's truly important, which is rethink our career. Every day think, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Is this what makes me happy? Is this? I don't you think that people don't make so much questions to themselves? And if you want to start your own personal branding process, you should do this often.
Absolutely. I think that many of us, we did follow a lot of guidelines and rules and suggestions that different people and institution gave us. This could be our school, our university, the church, our society, our parents, our friends. And I truly believe in the good of people. So I believe that we got these suggestions or recommendations as guidelines. And but what we forget doing is to critically take a step back and ask ourselves, is this true to me? Does this apply to me? Do I really resonate with that? A lot of us, we get something served, we're like, okay, fine, next thing. So we don't think about it. And that's why we turn into people pleasers and into everybody's darling, which makes us, super miserable at a certain stage in our life. And then people call it early life crisis, midlife crisis, quarter life crisis, whatever, because we have been doing what everybody else wanted us to do, but we realize that doesn't make me happy. And the way how other people define success doesn't make me feel successful. So then we realize, okay, but what is success to me? What is happiness to me? And this is like opening Pandora's box, or this is like literally falling down the rabbit hole in Alice in Wonderland. Or, taking was it the red pill in the Matrix? The problem is there is no way back. Once you decide to do that, it's impossible. It's like a mind that is expanded. It's impossible to shrink it down. It's like you can't unsee something that is so true that it hurts your core. So this is why a lot of people don't do that, because they're scared. They're scared of, oh my God, what does this mean? Does it mean that I lived for 30 years or for 50 years like an idiot? Well, if that's true, then you need to change the way you think, speak, act, work, live. Maybe people have to go out of your life. That could be friends, that could be a spouse. It's so much work and change, and people don't like change because it's hard, and we love our comfort zone.
Absolutely, and it's. I think we replicate on the personal side corporate things, which means we did this all life like this. Why should I change it? Oh, because no. Why? Sure, come on, don't give me a break.
Right? Life is hard enough, and I'm too old to change, and everybody else is doing that. If you're happy, fantastic, stay as you are. But if you're not happy, if you don't feel as if you achieved something, then please do something. Because the last thing that you want is to die with regrets. For me, one of my biggest fears in life is that I die regretting that I didn't make the most out of myself, didn't make the most out of my talent, didn't help the world as much as I can. And this would then result in regrets. And I think that's the most terrible thing, or one of the most terrible things that can happen to a human being, thinking, I wish I had the courage. I wish I did. I wish I jumped. What if you just got one chance? What if you don't get reborn? What if there's no paradise or heaven? What if not living up to your full potential is hell? Ooh, now we're getting philosophical. I know.
Well, one of the misconceptions about, and I think it's important to talk about this at the beginning, which is the problem. Some people make this mistake, which is personal branding is self-promoting. I mean, okay, what is personal branding? It's me going down the street saying to people, I'm the greatest guy in the world. Do you get this question of this misunderstood about personal branding and self-promoting? Because this personal branding, oh my God, get away.
Yeah, I get that quite often. Isn't that narcissistic? Isn't that something that only people who brag about themselves do? Isn't that something boastful? Isn't that da? So I believe that being humble is and authentic is very, very crucial for your personal brand. So in the end, yes, we heard your two beautiful definitions about personal branding. So what do we learn? You have a personal brand, if you like it or not. It's there. So you can either deny that fact and become a passive victim of the circumstances, of the opinions and judgments of others, or you can say, you know what? Shakespeare was right. Life is just a stage. And I need the applause of other people to be seen as an expert. I need the approval of certain people with whom I need to be seen in the industry to be perceived as an expert in order to help more people, in order to make a bigger impact, in order to make more money. Don't hate the player, hate the game. or accept the game and then make the most out of it. And this is what I decided for. I was like, okay, cool. You know what? Let's assume Shakespeare was right. So I actively decided, okay, cool. I have a personal brand. I don't want to be a victim. So how do I want my personal brand to be? What do I stand for? What do I stand against? What is important to me? Whom am I helping? Why should people work with me and not with other personal branding strategists? You know, how do I want to make people feel? And then I decided to create content, interviews, videos, like everything that is out there about me to be aligned with these values, to be aligned with this message. So now when you Google me or use any other search engine, you know, the first 3 search engine results page are all about me, myself, and I, which is content in which I give my best to add tremendous value, answer people's real world problems, in which I serve and listen and give. It's not about me. And you will never hear me say, oh my God, I'm the best. You know, it's just like I'm most probably God and then it's me. Like if you ever hear me say such shit, then anybody has the official permission to slap me in my face and say, what's wrong with you? So it's not about you being the most amazing. It's about helping others, listening and serving them, and but giving also other people reasons why they should choose you. And we know that public relations is the foundation of marketing. You know, when you want to buy a product, you go to Amazon and you check out the reviews. When you want to go to a place, you go to TripAdvisor and check what people said about you. So this is the same when people decide to hire you or work with you or choose you as a business. People trust the opinions of other people. So make sure that you helped enough people, that you build a relationship to them, that you give without expecting anything in return, and then people will like you because, hey, you're making them feel good. You inspire them, you empower them. So your personal brand in the end cannot be fake, and it's not narcissistic, because in its core, it's not about you, it's about others and how you serve the world.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you talk about something that I love, which is content. And
Let's talk about it.
and sometimes people say, "Oh, I don't know enough." I think it's the first problem, this imposter syndrome. I don't know enough. What should I share? Start with what you have. And the big lesson, I think you got that also. One of the biggest lessons, if not the biggest, is that content market, even though it seems crazy, it's the most amazing way to learn, because you will know, okay, today I made it this, tomorrow I want to improve, and people start feeding you with new questions, with new doubts, and you answer them. Don't you think it's so important to be on the content marketing field?
Absolutely, because I mean, with your content, you can spread your message, you can talk about your values, you can share your story, you can entertain people, you can inform people, you can make them think, laugh, whatever your goals are. And I'm fully with you. Start with what you have. Overcome your perfectionism, and don't believe that your first piece of content will be as fantastic as the next, Shakespeare poem or Hollywood blockbuster. I'll tell you a secret: you're going to suck. Your first piece of content will be crap. And I'm not saying that because I want to be negative. I'm telling you that as a reality check, because my first piece of content was terrible. Nobody read it. And it was 6 years ago. And it was the same for you, Marco. And you know what? Right? It's the nature of human being, I would call it, that you suck at something when you start. You know, imagine the first time you were walking. You know, you tried to stand up, right? You stood up again. Imagine if you as a kid would have tried to stand up 3 times and fell down, would say, oh, this walking is not for me. I'm just so bad at it. You know, I tried standing up 3 times. I will crawl my whole life. That is the logic.
Allow me. Or everybody's walking already. Why should I walk?
Exactly. Nice one. Right? I'm like, what is wrong with you? So that is definitely a change of perception that we need to go through. And I truly believe that everybody has a story to share. I believe that everybody has a voice that needs to be expressed when it comes out of your heart and out of the goodness of you. Like, don't post stuff to blame others, to spread negativity, violence, hate, and racism and stuff like that. Post to help. Post so that you show that you care. And through that, with your wording, with your message, with your content, the right people for you will like and resonate with you. I mean, no brand, no person, no business on this planet can produce something or be loved by everybody. It is impossible. It's a little bit like dessert, you know? Some people love German apple pie. Some people like ice cream. Some people like eclairs. Some people like, I don't know, donuts. And you know what? All of these things are not in competition with each other. They're beautiful, delicious, sweet, and fatty at the same time, just for different people. So once you get that into your head, it's a game changer.
Absolutely, because I think it's one of the biggest temptations, and mostly by these days, because we have so much examples about, for instance, the example of the video Gary V, which your host didn't like him so much, and I think it's okay. I think Gary V knows that not everybody loves him, and that's the point. Like it happens on cars, on watches, on hotels. It's that
everywhere.
yeah, absolutely. So. I think we should, because I've seen this example, and I think it's important to talk about this. A young lady on LinkedIn, oh, I need work, I need a job because I have bills to pay. No, I have this degree. Nobody answers my CVs. Nobody. What should you recommend to someone who's on LinkedIn with this kind of approach, and even in the personal branding perspective, what would you say to this lady?
I would change my wording a tiny little bit because the way how you described it, Marco, sounded a little bit blaming, and it also sounded a little bit passive victim, poor me. It sounded like nobody wants to give me a job and I need to pay my bills. Guess what? We all need to pay my bills. This is the society we live in. Again, I'm not here to be mean, but getting out of this passive poor me and into active, how can I find a solution, would tremendously help. So there are so many beautiful examples in which people, number one, updated their LinkedIn profile, and they really turned it into a source for their employer. So what am I good at? What do I stand for? Why should people hire me? How many years of experience do I have? How are my skills? A few pictures, a few documents, you know, of you being in action. That's the first thing. A great picture, a background picture. And then there's so many people who used content to stand out. There are people who literally, used a music instrument and sang or played their CV. They used a guitar, they used a piano, and they just said, I'm tired of this. This is who I am. And they did it. And they went viral and they had millions of views. That's one thing. Another example, one of my favorite stories, Nina for Airbnb. Google this. This woman designed a landing page, a web page, right? And nowadays, everybody can design a web page. You can use drop and drag. It's not as complicated as it was. So she wanted to work for Airbnb. So what did she do? She did a free of cost analysis of Airbnb. Where are they great at? What are opportunities? You know, where can they improve? Why should they choose me? And a few further things. And she posted it, and people love this kind of new, different, unconventional CD so much. She got tens of, I don't know how many it was in the end, but not only Airbnb, but also other companies approached her and said, this is so creative. You're so different. We love what you do. And she inspired other people to, apply for a job in such a way as well. There are social media competitions. There are so many companies that look for talent, and they look for a new hashtag, they look for a new name, they look for a new logo, they come up with something where you can prove and stand out and be different. Jump onto these things. Turn into an active content creator to stand out, to be different. Or maybe one last story. There was this one lady, it was a young woman, and she wanted to work at a very specific, I think it was a marketing agency. And I'm not sure if she sent out CVs to them earlier and it didn't work out, but there's this statue that is called the Brave Girl. And the statue is golden. So what she did is she painted herself gold, or spray painted herself gold, and took the same pose like that statue and stood for hours in front of the agency, right, in front of their window, until one person then came in and said, "You're crazy. We love your creativity. You are invited for an internship. Prove to us that we made the right decision." That's the new way of getting a job.
Absolutely. And I think it's I understand, because I had this problem also. I think you may had, because when we start on content, it's that step, it's scary,
Of course. Yeah, it's
But
part of it.
there's a hack. I'm talking about it all the time, which is comments. Comments, it's the amazing source, because you will stand out, because people, who is this, who is comment, and you will get feedback, because someone will say, okay, you're right in that point, maybe this one not so right, and the author of the post will also notice you. And it's
100%.
important, because we should find those authorities, those experts on the field I want to be, and start interacting. And for me, comments, and I think on LinkedIn, so many people don't take advantage of this.
Yeah, they're afraid of, what if I sound stupid? What if nobody likes it? What if nobody comments? What if? And the what if is always negative. Not always, but in the majority of cases. So instead of asking yourself, what if I fail? I recently read this somewhere. Ask yourself, what if I succeed? Ooh, again, total different way of thinking. What if you succeed? What if you start commenting and people are like, wow, that person is amazing? What if you start commenting and people are like, I had a look at your LinkedIn profile, I had a look at your portfolio, I love what you do, please send me your CV. Ever looked at things from that angle? Because again, people work with people. And we don't care about big brands and businesses and all of that. People work with people. And it depends on where you work. But in my perception, it is not as, of course, it depends on the age and it depends on the industry. But in my perception, general perception, it's like this, that, having a very specific certificate and being the perfect employee, that's not how it works. Or this is not it. Like, people know more and more that the perfect match doesn't exist, and they know how much the recruiting and hiring process and getting a job process is super messy, and it costs a lot of time and money and energy. And that's why everybody who somewhat understands the power of social networks, and it doesn't matter if it's online or offline, they give their best to use social networks, because information flow faster in social networks. Number two, the quality of this information is usually higher or more trustworthy, especially when you use somebody or ask somebody to put in his or her word for you. If you are unqualified and I, recommend you, that would reflect bad on my brand. So I wouldn't recommend somebody who's crap or lazy or just doesn't get stuff done, right? So that's also a reason why it's important. You can save time because, people spend time on social media, the official channels are slower, and you can save money. So these are just 4 out of many, many reasons why we should use social networks instead of applying in the classic way and then complaining. Most probably, I see this very often, recruiters are blank, swear word, put in whatever you want. Big companies should. I'm like, whoa, maybe you should. And instead of, again, blaming others, find new ways how to stand out, create so much that people see you. And strategic commenting can be one of many ways, next to content creation, to be seen. And this is what it's about. Get the attention. And then when you have the attention, show people that there's some substance. Show them, prove to me that you're really good at what you do. Because I don't want to hire somebody who's just good at and there's nothing behind it. Come on, give me both.
Absolutely. Well, we have some comments here. Philip says, Hola, Philip. Comment and add value, which is really important. Hola, Jorge. Marco all is on. And Teresa says, I can put this comment on screen. What if also try, imagine that your ideal world, which is really good. And talking about comment and content, there's this tool which is for me amazing. LinkedIn released it not so many time ago, which is quizzes or polls, whatever you want to call it. And for me, it's amazing because, for instance, you can qualify your audience. For instance, you can see the main doubts on your field that you can, and if you are a doctor, ask people which pains they have. If you are an engineer, ask them what problems they have. And it's amazing. And it's content, and don't forget, it's content. You show by selecting questions, you show some knowledge on your field, and you start looking and seeing people which may be a good fit as your customer.
Yeah.
And then you can reach them out. Are you using polls on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I started using them. I should use them more often, but I have so much content that needs to go out. I've created so much content. I was like, I need to go out. So I need to squeeze in some polls in there. Especially when you don't invest into paid ads, then polls are a phenomenal lead generation tool. Because as you said, you can kind of figure out where your audience sits, and then based on that, follow up with them. But it also gives you a good idea about the question that we talked about earlier. I don't know what to post about. Well, then ask your audience. Do you want me to talk about personal branding? Do you want me to talk about cat videos? Do you want me to talk about my diet? Do you want me to talk about, I don't know what? Whatever it is, routines or habits. And then, let them vote for 3 days, 7 days, whatever. And then based on the percentage, you'll see, okay, they want me to speak about routines. So you create more content about routines. And then maybe, I don't know, after 2 weeks or so, say, hey, I loved this last time, I spoke about routines. Now I'm creating my content for the next weeks. What do you want me to talk about now? And this is, if you do that, you really build a community. This is then not, look at me, I'm the best, I'm speaking to you, like traditional old media, just broadcasting. It's called social media. It's a two-way road or street. So ask them, get feedback, take it back, post, have a conversation, have a dialogue. And through that, again, you do not only have followers or fans, but you build a community. And this is then when it really becomes powerful. And it doesn't matter how big your community is, because some people are like, Natalia, I just have 700 followers. And I'm like, let me put it that way. Imagine you would have a stage, or you would have a seminar room, or you would book a conference room in a big hotel. And imagine you would be on that stage and you would have 700 relevant people down there. Imagine you are just closing, or imagine you can just offer or can inspire 10% or 15% to work with you. Isn't that nuts? And this is what these 700 people are. I mean, if you have 700 relevant people, then even more people might invest in your services, because very often it's like, and I also have this one, and that's an old colleague and whatever. So the size of your community says very little about your success as a business. So don't get confused or intimidated when people have 80,000, 1 million, 3 million followers, and you just have 300 or 700, whatever. I mean, I know so many people with a huge following who literally cannot pay their bills. So when you don't know how to monetize this, it goes nowhere.
And at some point, I think you also add 700 followers.
Yeah, right? Yeah, of course.
Because it seems like people are waiting for the customers to, okay, let's just open the door, let the customers wait, and then we'll start producing something.
Yeah, I think, I think a lot of us, we need to understand human behavior and sales psychology and the art of storytelling and copywriting better. If you know these things, invest time and energy into that, because you will not only become better in your business, but you will also become so much better in your private life. Because I do believe that whenever you catch up with friends, with your partner, husband, spouse, whatever, when you make a decision, when it's all about negotiation, this is where your sales skills will help you a lot, right? And when you are at a party, your storytelling skills will help you a lot. This is why a lot of the things that I teach in my LinkedIn group coaching, it's not only relevant for LinkedIn, but it will also make you more successful in life. And a lot of people are like, I never looked at it that way, but now as you said it, yeah, it makes sense. I'm like, there you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have also Karina. Hello, Karina. Good to have you here. Please let me know if you have any questions. We are talking about personal branding, how you can shine on LinkedIn mostly and be known as someone valuable on your field. And there's this question. I think it's changing, but the CEO or the C-level or the vice president level on companies, are they changing that perspective of being on the shadow? Well, okay, let the corporate brand shine. I will be here very quiet. And is this changing?
Yeah, it is changing, because I believe that the way how we consume as people changed, and I believe that the societies that we also live in change. So I think that the average customer nowadays compared to, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago is more empowered, more educated, maybe even more entitled. We expect service, we expect speed, we expect transparency, honesty. Plus, because of a lot of scandals and a lot of disappointments and a lot of these big faux pas and dramatic things that happen over the years, I think a lot of us are also kind of disappointed by these greedy, faceless big corporations. Especially millennials and a generation after that also went through a massive value shift. So it's more about meaning, about exploring your passion and your purpose. Materialistic stuff is not so important anymore. And we want more individualized stuff. And because of this and many other things that have an impact on that, I do believe that it doesn't matter who it is, he or she needs to stop hiding behind her brand, product, service. I want to see your face. And there are studies that show that when the CEO of a specific company, is active on social media, then people engage more with the company, and that has a positive effect on sales and on the way how the brand is perceived. And the next thing is also that if you as a CEO are active on social media, you also have a leading role. If you do that, then your employees will do that as well. And there, again, are so many studies that prove that when you look at the social network of the employees, let's say you have 100 employees and 10 of them will post. So if you use your company page and post something, or if you use your 10 employees and they post something, if you take the reach of these 10 employees and sum that all together, that reach will be so much higher than the reach of the company page. Not only that, LinkedIn found out that people follow people 11 times more likely than a company page. So in the end, and again, there are so many different reasons. I could talk about why personal branding is the new employer branding for hours. It's important that you as a CEO start showing your face. You know, don't need to do it on your own. You can always get a PA, a VA, a social media assistant. You can work with an agency, with a PR consultant, with a communication and crisis communication expert. But please don't say that this is just a temporary thing and this social media thing doesn't work. I mean, more than 50% of the world uses social media and is active online. So your customers are online. And if you aren't, then you're missing out on so many business opportunities.
Absolutely. And you talked about something. I had here the question, which is when you're an employee, we have two perspectives here, which is one, I want to, as we say here, I want to dress the shirt of my company and show it up to the people. Okay, I work here. Look what our values, how it work, everything. Or I work here, but I want a new job opportunity. How should we balance? Because some people are afraid because, oh, if I start doing this kind of approach, people will notice and I may get fired because of this.
Yeah, that's what I hear regularly. And it's like so old school. I mean, yes, of course, there are companies, and I know a friend who works for a company where the company said, you post one post on LinkedIn and your job is gone. Like there are companies like that, but for me, there are one in, I don't know, most probably 1,895 companies that are so stupid, they don't understand, and that are so out of the, scarcity mindset that they really do not allow their stuff to post. There are so many companies, businesses out there at the moment who literally design employee advocacy programs in which they train and teach their staff how to use LinkedIn to become brand ambassadors, as you said it, and share their stories and give people an insight into the company culture. And these people post whatever they want to post. Of course, they have a few rules that they should respect, like don't share any industry secrets, don't be an asshole, you never judge, blame, da da da. But the rules are, in the majority of cases, super common sense, to be honest. And so if you want to post on social media and you work for somebody, just post and post the stuff that really adds value and talk about stories out of your life. And if you are afraid that this could lead to some clash with your employer, then go to your HR department or to your boss, whatever, and say, listen, I've read this and this and this about LinkedIn. It's the number one business platform for B2B. 700 million people are active on LinkedIn. 80% of people who buy something first check out the service or product online. I want to try this because I believe in this, and I'm going to use my time to make the most out of it to help the company. Can I do that? And every, at least semi-sane boss will say yes. And if your boss or HR director or whatever says no, then this might be also a hint to ask yourself if you're at the right company. Like, if seriously, this is my very honest opinion about this. And well, maybe if they aren't, then it's up to you if you post anyway and through that, trigger it and they will let you go. Or if you find other ways to share your message. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, we have some questions here. Let's.
Yay!
Ilse Ro, greetings from Caracas. Ilse, it's a Venezuelan. I don't. Oh my God, from Venezuela.
From Venezuela, exactly.
Yeah, and she's also a personal branding expert. She was also my guest. Paulo, hola, Paulo. The size of your community really doesn't say anything about the quality of your content. If you invest the most amount of time needed to obtain the quality that people are looking for, it's only a matter of time to grow within your area or niche. If we have value, we must show it first and be afraid after. Regards for our both. Good content here. Well, expose it. Well, thank you, Paulo. And
Exactly.
we have Chris Whitner. Hello, Chris. How are you? And Teresa has one question: some good examples of CEOs with an active presence on LinkedIn. And Arnaldo, hello, Arnaldo. Thank you. One good post per day on LinkedIn. Is that enough? Nice question.
Okay, let's start with Arnaldo. So I believe in less but better. So ask yourself, how often can I post over the period of the next 3 till 6 months? What is the realistic amount of post that is regular, that is consistent? So if you say over the next 3 till 6 months, I can post once per day, let's say 5 days per week, fantastic. If you say, whoa, I'm not a media agency, I can post maximum twice per week, well, then please post twice per week over a period of 3 till 6 months. So consistency is incredibly important, because I know so many people who are like, I'm posting once per day, 7 days per week, and they do that for 3 weeks, and then they're so exhausted, and then they stop. So it would have been smarter, instead of posting now once per day, 7 days per week for 3 weeks and doing nothing, you could have used that. And if you cut it, so let's say I post twice per week, you could have used that for the next 3-4 months, right? So that would have been such a smarter strategy. So yeah, this is the question that I would rather ask myself. And I also pre-produce content. I don't believe in I sit down every morning and wait to be inspired and then I write something. This doesn't work. I know that some people would say, yeah, but that's not authentic. And you can see when somebody just wrote something, and you can see when somebody just, recorded it a month ago. I would highly doubt that everybody can see the difference between written or recorded today and, recorded a month ago. Some might see it, but to be honest, this is free stuff. I give my best to add value. If you have a problem with the fact that I recorded it 3 weeks ago and not today, go home. Sorry, you're not my customer anyway. Like, this is like, seriously, people who say that most probably wouldn't even invest in my book or like an online course that we give out for a price that is like so cheap. But they're like, yeah, no, man. I'm like, not my customer.
Yeah, if that's the point, Natalia. If you are thinking too much about what others say, because for instance, I post often videos I recorded in 2016, 15. Does the content is valuable today? It is. So let's go. I don't
Yeah.
think twice. Let's go. So
Yeah, no, I'm fully with you. I'm fully with you.
that's the point. If you don't like it, go away. I
Yeah.
said it. I said it the other day live, because I was trying. Look, I was trying something live, and that's the point. If you do live, you have to try it live, and
Yeah.
it was not
Fully with
something
you.
was not working. And
Yeah.
there was this guy. Oh, we are having technical issues about 15 minutes, and well, you should try before going live. And I say, okay. You see on the title, I'm testing. If you
Yeah.
don't like, my friend, and if it's live, I need to test it live. That's the point, my friend. If you don't like
Yeah.
it, feel free to go away.
Yeah. I mean, I like, there are always people who have an opinion. Like, there was this guy once where like literally during the whole life, he's like, your sound quality is crap. Your sound quality is crap. Oh my God, your sound is so bad. And then I went on his profile after the LinkedIn Live and I checked out, this guy does not create any content. He has never ever
Yeah.
done a video. He has never ever done a live. So I was like, you know what? Delete, block out. And there are people who told me that my makeup is shit. And there are people who say my voice is annoying. There are people who told me I'm beautiful, but I don't have a brain. There are people who, like, seriously. I'm like,
Yeah,
take your opinion and just go somewhere else, because I don't need so much negativity here. Like, if you want to give me constructive feedback on how I can improve,
absolutely.
fine, but just don't dump your negativity or try to
Yeah,
drag me down, because there's enough happiness and success for both of us, right? It's not
absolutely.
how you say it. And just don't be a stupid hater, because I don't need that stuff. Or
Absolutely.
like,
So,
nah, nah,
well,
nah.
let's answer the Teresa question, please. Some good examples about CEOs.
Yeah, so I mean, my favorite one, of course, Gary Vaynerchuk. I think he is the godfather of social media. He is great, but he also has, of course, a team of, I don't know how many people on social media, what, 7 people or something who create content for him. But I remember that I did a presentation for Coca-Cola Hellenic Bottling Company, and I literally, like, I used LinkedIn and I typed in CEO, and I just took a few random companies, like I think SAP, for example, and I found out that CEO, or what was it? What was her title? Co-CEO of SAP in the States. She did a great job on LinkedIn. So she posted, I think, like maybe 2 or 4 times per month. She was commenting every now and that's enough. That's the problem, that a lot of people believe that a CEO needs to post, I don't know, 7 days per week and comment all the time. No, find a rule that works for you. And if you can, let's say, spend 10 minutes 3 times per week, and then maybe post something once per month, and then sometimes just comment something here or there, that is enough. Nobody asks you to become the next influencer or the next, I don't know what, social media guru. Figure out what is healthy and doable for you. Don't be afraid to ask for help from a copywriter, PA, VA, social media assistant, whatever. Yeah, and study other people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we have a compliment for you, by the way. It's in Portuguese.
Huh?
Dr. Natalia, very good. I've been following this expert for some years ago. Uh, qual quality interview.
Oh,
Muito
thank
obrigado,
you.
Tiago. Abraço. Philip says about, I agree, we need to let the employees promote the brand themselves. And Ilse says, what is the greatest advantage of using LinkedIn versus other social media networks? Nice question.
Yeah, so LinkedIn is quite interesting because of a handful of reasons. Number one is that people who use LinkedIn are more in a business mindset. So when you, for example, use Facebook or Instagram, you use it because of another reason. The majority of people that I use, they go to Instagram because they want to see what their friends do, or because they want to look for a new cooking recipe, for, you know, a new shoe, a new style. They want to know what to check out in a city. So it's more out of a fun research, motivation, inspiration perspective. When I'm on Facebook, I just go there because I want to look about the latest news or events, or again, what my friends do. When people use LinkedIn, they go there to do business. So if you use LinkedIn to do business, it is definitely easier to talk to your ideal audience, because here they are business. Number one reason. Second reason is that LinkedIn is the only platform where you can build a network of up to 30,000 connections. On Facebook, you can only have 5,000 friends. Right, so that's another reason. The third reason is that LinkedIn is not so saturated yet. Facebook has 2.5 billion users. LinkedIn has 700 million, so it's quite a difference. Also, organic reach is still relatively good. So when you post something on LinkedIn to your audience, a lot of people will see it, and you don't have to invest into paid ads. When you post something on Instagram or on Facebook pages, oh man, it's pay to play. You will rarely get any reach. So that's another reason why it is so powerful. And then also, when you look at the user numbers, For example, Instagram is a very, very young platform. 72% of Instagram users are teenagers. They're between 18 and 37 years old. So if you're not selling to that audience, then, if you're looking for a more diverse audience, then LinkedIn is definitely also more interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have another comment here. Saludos, Fernando. Saludos para Guatemala. Un abrazo. Well, you talk about something. I write it down here before, which is for me really important. I think on marketing, I think if we take just the C's and the P's from alphabet, I think we are good.
Marketing, the C's and the P's out of the alphabet. Okay, tell me more about it.
For instance, we have the 4 P's or the 4 C's of marketing mix. For instance, there's, and we can talk about all of them. 3 P's, very important on personal branding: passion, persistence, and patience.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And we have another P, but it's a not so good word to hear here in Portugal.
Okay.
And 2 C's. And we can bring more even, which is consistency and coherence.
And content and creativity.
And content, okay, yeah. And conversation.
Oh, I like that. Community, there you go.
Yeah, okay, let's do a contest.
I'll battle you. Oh, bring it on, man.
Well, your thoughts about this, because it's also important to be consistent. You already mentioned it's so important to be there, knocking on people's head every day so they start. But also it's important to be coherent, because, for instance, if today you show up with a expensive shirt with a tie and so very formal, and the very next day you come with beach outfit and sunglasses, or isn't this so important? And I think so many people don't think about it on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So consistency, as you said, goes in 2 different directions. So consistent for me means show up consistently. That means, now, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. This is part of it. But you also need to be consistent in your message. So what do you stand for? How do you want to be perceived? What are your brand's colors? What are your brand's attributes? How do you want to make people feel? What are the first impressions that you want, or the first emotions you want to trigger in people? And then make sure that no matter what you do, it is aligned with your brand. Because I do believe that people learn slowly and forget very fast. So that's the reason why they need continuous repetition. And they need 5, 6, 7 interactions with you to at least remember you and get to know you and somewhat like and trust you. And then maybe some people will be like, oh yeah, I want to buy something from her, work with her. But then the majority of people, they need between 30 till, some studies say 30, some people say 45, until 90 days to decide to work with you, to start a long-term relationship in form of a contract or whatever with you. So make sure that you show up as a friend. Make sure that you become less of a stranger every day. And when I don't understand who you are and what you do, when you're confusing, when I don't know into which box I should put you, it's very difficult, because our lives that we live is very busy. We use social media on the run. It's hectic. If you don't make it simple, people will not understand. And that's the reason, for example, why I use, my glasses, and I always use very bright colors, and I always use the same background, because I literally, as you said, hammered it into people's brain. Whenever they see a woman with bright colors, these glasses and this background, here, it's Dr. Nat. What does Dr. Nat stand for? She's the LinkedIn unicorn. I repeated it so often that funny story. People from all over the world just sent me random pictures of something with a unicorn. Unicorn cake. Hey, had to think about you. Hey, I was clubbing in this park and there was a unicorn balloon. I was thinking about you. Hey, I was at this pharmacy and it was called Unicorn Pharmacy. Had to think about you. Not only that, whenever people see something with a unicorn, they send me a screenshot and send it to me. It goes that far that when people see something in that color, they take a picture of it and say, it reminded me of me. So of you. So there was a gentleman, I think in Austria, he went to a cafe, he had a meeting there for coffee, and they saw these macarons, and the macarons were in this color. So he took a picture and said, there already think Natalia fever here. I was like, yo, don't tell anybody.
Well, it's truly important, yes, because sometimes we do things so randomly and we don't get results, and the blame is on the platform, it's not on me.
Yeah, of course. Always the other person, or the other, or the environment, or the bad women, or the bad men, or the country, the economy, the system. People who think like that, they are victims. They will never be successful because they blame. They have a problem for every solution. That is just terrible. I don't want to work with people. Right? Oh, man, go away, please.
So, if you want to know more about Natalia's book, you have here, scrolling down. Oh, and there's also on comments. How did you came to a book? Because I think it's also important when you are when you want to take your personal brand to the next level. I think a book it's important, right, Natalia?
Absolutely. I mean, I heard this beautiful quote once. Authority. No. The word author comes from, was it author, authority? Like there's a word play with author and authority, right? So if you are an author, you get more authority. So nowadays, you do not even need a publishing house or company in order to publish something. You can self-publish on Amazon, and you can actually also make quite some good money with that if you know how to market your book. So a book for me is like your new business card. And it doesn't need to be super long, and it doesn't need to be super complicated, but write a book on your topic. Because how cool is it if you meet somebody new, if you go to a meeting, if you have a speech, if you have anything, and you meet somebody and it's like, oh, by the way, I brought you a gift. And you're like, here, it's my book. And you write something in it. And people remember that. They'll be impressed. And people throw away business cards. But when do people throw away books? It's kind of like, ooh, right? That's the thing. And also when you give them a book, it's a little bit sneaky, but you made it into their house. Maybe you made it into their office. You made it into their living room. Maybe you made it into their bedroom. Ooh. So they see you now. You are in there. And, if you've written it in a good way, then they will build a relationship with you. And this is what it's all about. So make sure that you write a book. And you don't need to do that on your own. There are ghostwriters out there. There are copywriters. There are companies who literally interview you for like 2 or 3 hours. They record that, send it to somebody. That person creates a text out of that, and they even help you with the cover and with everything. So if you want to do that and you have the money and you cannot be bothered with that, then delegate that to a company. That is also an option. I decided to write my book on my own because I love writing. It was also a little bit self-therapeutic, but writing a book is a project. So I do understand why some people say I need it, but I don't want to do it on my own. That's fine. And if you feel kind of like guilty, then don't tell people, right? That's the next thing. Like do whatever you want, but you don't need to share everything. You don't need to tell the world that I hired a company for that. So what?
Absolutely. Well, the book is a good complement for everything we were talking about this afternoon, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It goes deeper. It also talks more about my story, about my first life, and it gives you a hand-by-hand, like a step-by-step guide on how to build your personal brand on LinkedIn. So yeah, you will need approximately, I think, around 3 hours if you read everything back to back. So it's easily done in a week.
Perfect. Great, great. So we are coming to an end. Please, and at the end, Natalia will give you more places where you can find her. So how will you? I'm here. It's the first time I'm talking with you, Natalia, and I want for you to explain me like I was a dummy. Which is what is personal brand, and how can I apply to myself?
Your personal brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. That is a quote by Jeff Bezos. And the best way to apply it is to literally ask you the question, to become a self-expert and to do some self-inventory. So the more clear you get on who you are and how you want to help others, the easier it will be for others to understand you. And that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. Who are you in the sense of what kind of problems do you solve, for whom, and what is the end result? What problems do you solve, for whom, what's the end result? If you can answer this question, you are so much further ahead than the majority of people.
Absolutely perfect. It's a nice way to close the main topic, and now let's deep on the suggestions.
Fair enough.
Okay. One professional, one book, one habit which needs to be legal and healthy.
Okay.
A tool, a movie, and a TV show.
Okay, so one professional book. I just recently finished reading and I absolutely loved it. Give me a second. How's it called? It's called The Madness of Crowds by Douglas Murray. It is super provocative, but it's very, very insightful about the crazy times that we currently live in. So especially when you're a public figure, especially when you sometimes have to talk about very sensitive topics, that is an eye-opener. So I would highly recommend that book. The second one, what you wanted to know, was a TV show.
Well, okay, we can jump.
Don't watch TV. Yeah, I mean, I'm a documentaries fan. So literally, like I'm a big fan of documentaries, and it could be about anything, about spirituality, about food, about high performance. It always fluctuates because I believe that, you know, life has different aspects. So you have work, you have family, you have spirituality, you have relationships, friends, sexuality, you know, hobbies and all of that. And so whenever I have the feeling that in one part of my life, there's like, I don't feel content, then I watch a documentary and read a book about this topic and then act upon it to find more balance and more peace in that part of my life.
Nice perspective. Book, a shout out, any professional, which Gary V or someone else. Okay, Gary V you already talked about it. Another one.
Huge fan of Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins is a phenomenal woman. She is authentic. She's herself. She talks about business. She talks about her relationship. She talks about all of these topics that I just mentioned. I think she is incredibly, genuine, funny, and we need more people who are just like her. So I learn from her every day. Follow her on Instagram. I think that's one of her best channels.
Perfect. And now, tool.
Well, LinkedIn, of course. LinkedIn is amazing. Habit, meditation. Meditation changed my life. So start with literally 2 or 3 minutes per day. I'm sometimes meditating up to 70 minutes per day. It is so important to get more clarity here, because we have this very loud judging voice that regularly talks about ourselves and the world that is continuously nagging and complaining and judging. So in order to be kinder to yourself and to other people, meditate.
Perfect. And a movie.
Movie. So I love everything that is music-like. So, for example, Mamma Mia is a movie that I absolutely loved. Or recently, I also watched this crazy one, Eurovision Song Contest. For me,
Yeah, I've seen
oh,
this
it's
one.
hilarious because I used to be a dancer for over 10 years. So I love movies in which people dance and sing and just express themselves where there are a lot of colors and glitters. I'm like, one day I'll go back to that and I want my own music video. I want glitter. I want dancers. I want a band. I'm going to do this. Like maybe not next year, but before I die for sure.
Perfect. Well, this Eurovision was a treat.
Hilarious. I was laughing and crying so hard. I was like, this is brilliant.
Absolutely. Well, Natalia, where people can find you?
Well, first of all, on LinkedIn, of course, because my favorite platform. And if people want to know more about the private Natalia and also see a little bit how life in Dubai is, in the United Arab Emirates, then they can, of course, also find me on Instagram. And over there, my handle is @ThinkNatalia. So @ Think Natalia, as you can see there in one word.
Perfect. So, thank you so much. It was an amazing chat. It flies.
Yeah, I was like, what? We've been talking for 1 hour and 6 minutes? That's crazy.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you for all of you who are watching us live. And those, okay, you can send now some hearts, some likes to Natalia and say thank you. I think she more than deserve it. And please follow her on the social media. And if you are watching the replays and you want to ask something, put some doubts, or put some questions, you can drop in on the comments, or you can reach Natalia and ask her, because she does also often live streaming. She answers, Natalia answers questions on their live streaming. So be be my guest to do that. Okay. Wish you all a nice week. It's Tuesday. I think it's
Yeah,
already.
it's still quite some week left
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
the next days.
Next Thursday, I have here a special show talking about this racism problem. We having some people from America to talk about this in their perspective, and so you are invited to join. It's at 5 p.m. GMT +1. So hope to see you there, Natalia. Thank you so much. If you want to send a last message.
Last message, my favorite one, authentic is the new perfect. Don't wait until you're ready, because you will never be ready, and perfection is an illusion. So start today, start with what you have, and become one step better every day. So because the only competition that you have is you yesterday. That's it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Have a nice day. Enjoy and start now working on your personal brand. See you.
Exactly.
Bye bye.
Bye.